So we know that with the new Terrestrialize gimmick in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, you can change a Pokemon to be any monotyping that you want it to be. And I mean literally any type. And that sounds really cool. You can take things at bad typings and suddenly give them a good typing. But that has also caused some concerns that some Pokemon might be a little too much. One Pokemon in question being Shedinja. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about the potential for Shedinja in the format, as well as how to just counterplay it, because there's a lot of ways you can actually defeat this. Okay, what's the build everyone is scared of? Take Shedinja and give it Electric Terra type. That way, it's only weak to ground, and with Wonder Guard, it's only going to be able to get hit by ground types. Great. Still counterable, but give it an air balloon, and suddenly you cannot hit it. It's not just a single move that just, hits it, then it's kind of invincible. And I've seen that some people are concerned that's going to be very overpowered, probably going to see it in every team, so on and so forth. I don't actually agree with that. I think it's fairly strong in theory, but I actually don't think it has a great place in the format as anything more than just a counter pick. So let's talk about how to actually counterplay this seemingly overpowered build. The simplest option is just weather. Something like Sandstream or Snow Warning, and it really can't do anything. Especially if you're running Air Balloon on it, it just dies in one turn. The thing about weather effects is there are two of them that will do chip damage every turn for 5 turns. That being Hail and Sandstorm. And this is kind of an issue for Shedinja because it can still get hit by that even with Wonder Guard. And only having 1 HP means it just goes away in one turn. And one always popular weather-related Pokemon is Tyranitar with Sandstream. In just about every format that does not have legendary Pokemon, Tyranitar is always there. And it's going to be in a lot of teams. And now with the Terrestrialize gimmick, you can get rid of its terrible typing. So it's probably going to be a lot stronger in this format, so it's going to be pretty much all over the place. And Shedinja can't fight it. Now, there is counterplay to the counterplay. You could have something that can change the weather to rain or harsh sunlight. So there is an answer to the answer. But that comes down to your team building in general and your ability to play your team, rather than Shedinja being so overpowered. But there's other options, such as Mold Breaker, because Mold Breaker just ignores the ability outright, to where you can hit Shedinja with anything and it just goes away. And if I remember correctly, there is a Pokemon with Mold Breaker that is almost always paired with Tyranitar, and that is Excadrill. I remember in Gen 8's early meta, Tyranitar Excadrill is very common. It's just a good combination, even though they're both weak to fighting. They do cover each other in other ways. And Excadrill has very strong abilities that pair very well with Tyranitar. The combination is going to be stronger with Terrestrialize though, because now you can change typings on the fly and just make it to where one of them's not weak to fighting anymore, thus giving you a lot more flexibility with that lead. And suddenly, there's now 2 counters to Shedinja baked into a lot of teams. So now you have to have counters in your team, not only to counter weather, but you now also have to counter Excadrill. And Excadrill could just change typings on you, and then your counter doesn't work. If you hadn't noticed by now, it's starting to feel like Shedinja is not something that you should be relying on as your main Terrestrialized sweeper. But there is yet another way. You can also counter it with neutralizing gas from Wheezing, because then abilities just don't matter. You are free to hit it with basically whatever you want. And it's kind of hard to counter neutralizing gas. You just have to get rid of the Wheezing. So if you really want to make Shedinja strong, your entire team has to be built to counter its weaknesses. And there's more than just that, because what if you're fighting another Shedinja? You have to have a counter for that in your team. So we've got about 4 slots taken up, all because it is necessary to have a lot of stuff in your team just to make Shedinja consistent, which hopefully you have something else that can sweep just in case Shedinja's not going to be able to put out. Because if you look at the moves that it actually gets, it doesn't get an electric type move, which I've heard there is a move similar to Hidden Power that every Mon can learn that is going to use your Terra typing so that every Mon can have every type basically. But if it's anything like Hidden Power, it's not going to be a very strong move. And if your opponent has, say, Lightning Rod or Volt Absorb, Shedinja's output's actually going to be pretty bad because you'll be using non-stab, ghost, and bug moves mostly. And maybe like Iron Head or something. So even if you position it in such a way that it is very difficult to hit, there is still the issue of it not having a lot of offense. And that's not even considering getting rid of the air balloon so that it can be hit with a ground move. There's even other options like Iron Barbs or Rocky Helmet that can also get rid of it instantly. And trying to cover for those things, corrosive gas, just there's a lot that has to be considered if you think this thing is going to win me every game. It's probably not, because Pokemon is so big that there's a lot of counters to even very strong, seemingly strong things. But that doesn't mean you can't use Shedinja. And you don't have to make it an electric type if you want to terrestrialize it. You could make it, say, normal type. That way it's only weak to fighting. And if your team is very strong against fighting types, and your opponent doesn't have a lot of fighting type coverage, you can make it work. But it doesn't make a good core for a consistent team. It's a good counter pick. Because if your opponent doesn't have the stuff to deal with it, it's great. It's just that a lot of teams are probably going to have at least one counter to it, and you might not even know where it is. Because with the terrestrialized gimmick, there's so many more options than there used to be. So I don't actually think it's overpowered. But I do think it would be a good counter pick. But it also will be annoying enough that it is something you do need to consider when you're building a team. You might want to have some kind of answer to it just in case, but that doesn't make it overpowered. You are more likely going to need counters for Tyranitar and Excadrill than you will Shedinja. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.